If there's one place in America where the collapse of the American dream is no longer just a theory, but a visible, undeniable reality, it's Texas. This isn't just about rising rents or economic downturns. It's about families sleeping in cars, veterans living under overpasses, and lifelong workers quietly slipping through society's cracks. On our city streets, what was once unthinkable has become familiar. People begging for food, braving the elements, and simply trying to survive another day. Once hailed as the land of second chances, where freedom, space, and opportunity reigned, Texas drew millions chasing a better life. Oil booms built cities. Suburbs sprawled. The skies seemed limitless. But that dream, once bold and brimming with possibility, is beginning to fracture. This isn't just the story of homelessness. It's a wake-up call. A warning of how quickly even a stable life can unravel, and how, even in the heart of a thriving state, thousands are becoming invisible in the very communities they helped build. In this documentary, we'll journey through two very different Texases, one fueled by tech wealth, booming industries, and $700 steak dinners. The other made of motel rooms, makeshift shelters, and unopened letters from housing authorities. This isn't a tale of doom. It's a portrait shaped by reality, grounded in data, lived experiences, and real voices. Behind the headlines is a deeper story, and understanding it is the first step toward preparing for what lies ahead. Let's begin. The rise and fade of the dream in the 90s and early 2000s, Texas was magnetic. It offered stability and space to those fleeing cold economies and colder winters. Working-class families from the Rust Belt packed their lives into trucks and came south, drawn by promises of affordable housing, decent wages, and a sense of hope. Cities like Dallas, Houston, and Austin became beacons of progress. You could buy a modest home, raise a family, and live a life not based on luxury, but on hard-earned dignity. But that promise is thinning. Once stable rents have become volatile. A home that sold for $150,000 10 years ago now lists for over $400,000. Apartments once priced at $800 now command upwards of $1,700. In the shadows of these price hikes are stories of quiet exits, retirees cashing in homes to pay for healthcare, single parents forced into motels, dual-income households priced out of their own neighborhoods. Take San Antonio, long known for its affordability. Today, it's one of the fastest-growing cities for housing costs in the country. Austin's rents have surged nearly 98% over the past decade. In Corpus Christi, a 67-year-old former steelworker now lives in a truck. "This wasn't the plan," he says. "I worked 40 years. I was supposed to have a porch, a garden. Not this." Texas hasn't lost its soul. But the road to its promise is being quietly rerouted, away from the people who helped pave it. The divide grows. Texas is big, but so is its growing divide. Drive through Austin, and you'll see it clearly. Tech entrepreneurs zipping through downtown on scooters, just blocks from lines of tents tucked beneath the freeway. In Houston, luxury restaurants brim with laughter while, just a few streets over, a family huddles inside a minivan to stay warm. Over 27,000 Texans are now experiencing homelessness, and that's likely an undercount. Advocates say the hidden homeless are rarely captured in official data. People couch surfing, bouncing between motels, or living out of their vehicles. This isn't about laziness. Many work full-time, sometimes 2 jobs. Grocery clerks, delivery drivers, home health aides. But the math no longer works. In Austin, the average one-bedroom now costs over $1,750. At $18 an hour, that's more than half a paycheck, before food, gas, or childcare. One hospital custodian in Houston sleeps in her minivan. Despite a steady income, her lease expired, her credit was damaged by medical debt, and no landlord would approve her. This is no longer rare. It's becoming the new normal. Cities respond with policies aimed at cleaning up encampments. Tents are removed. Belongings confiscated. But rarely is there somewhere else to go. In the state that prides itself on independence and prosperity, even the workers who keep it running can't afford to live in it. Austin's two faces they call Austin, Silicon Hills, a thriving hub for innovation, music, and food. Young professionals flock to the city chasing creativity, culture, and sunshine. But beyond the rooftop pools and tech campuses is a very different city. Along Riverside Drive, Ben White Boulevard, and beneath I-35, tent communities grow week by week. Pieced together from tarps, plywood, and shopping carts, these fragile homes shelter those society has forgotten, many of whom still work, or once did. A veteran who served 2 tours overseas now sleeps under a freeway. "I didn't come back to fight this kind of battle," he says. Just to stay warm. In late 2024, Austin reported nearly 5,000 people experiencing homelessness, almost double the count from 5 years ago. While the city invests millions into festivals, tech events, and downtown beautification, its housing programs remain tangled in bureaucracy. Shelters are full. Waitlists are endless. And each day, someone else is priced out: a janitor, a teacher, a line cook. Austin is now 2 cities. One lives in glass towers. The other beneath them. The vanishing middle in Texas: you can work full-time, avoid debt, skip vacations, and still come up short. This isn't poor budgeting. It's systemic failure. Texas used to be a haven for modest earners. You could raise kids, pay bills, and maybe even save. But that version of Texas is fading. A 1-bedroom apartment in Dallas now averages over $1,800, up more than 90% in a decade. In Austin, it's closer to $2,100. Yet median wages hover around $48,000 a year. Subtract rent, food, insurance, and gas, what's left? A mother in San Antonio works 55 hours a week between 2 jobs. "I used to buy snacks for my kids," she says. "Now I count every gallon of milk." Evictions surge in cities like Fort Worth and El Paso. Families pack up with no warning, not because they lost a job, but because their rent jumped $400 overnight. Texas has no rent control. No requirement for notice. Landlords can raise prices without restriction. Investors buy entire apartment complexes, rebrand, and relist them at prices longtime tenants can't match. Housing becomes a profit engine for a few, and a survival crisis for the rest. Food insecurity in a land of plenty. Texas is proud of its food. Barbecue, big portions, Southern hospitality. But for many, the meals are disappearing. Lines stretch outside food banks and mobile pantries. People wait in silence, holding empty boxes, hoping there's still something left to take home. A retired bus driver in Fort Worth arrives at 5 a.m. every Tuesday. "If I don't get in line early," he says, "I might not eat." Over 4 million Texans now experience food insecurity, including 1 in 5 children. This isn't due to droughts or supply shortages. It's about affordability. The price of eggs, milk, and rice has climbed faster than wages. And cuts to food programs have left many without options. Even those who grow and transport the food, farmers, truckers, processors, are going hungry themselves. The working homeless, they wear uniforms, follow the rules, show up every day. They're security guards, nursing aides, retail workers. But when their shifts end, they don't go home, because they don't have one. In parking lots across Texas, fogged-up car windows hide makeshift bedrooms. A delivery driver in Houston parks behind a gym. "I work 6 days a week," he says. "But I couldn't afford rent anymore." In Austin, even full-time workers must clock over 90 hours a week just to cover rent, without food or health insurance. Housing costs consume over 60% of many workers' paychecks. Shelters are full. Cars become homes. Families split up just to find beds. This isn't about failure. It's about a system that no longer supports the people who keep it running. Fraying safety nets as wages stagnate and costs soar, many Texans turn to assistance, housing vouchers, food stamps, Medicaid. Not for comfort, but just to survive. But even those lifelines are now under threat. Texas has no personal income tax. It relies heavily on property and sales taxes, which fluctuate with the economy. When downturns hit, the first cuts are often to social programs. Meanwhile, nonprofits and food banks are stretched thin. Volunteers burn out. Funding cycles stall. And the need continues to grow. A society isn't measured by how well it rewards the successful. It's measured by how it treats the vulnerable. And in Texas, that treatment is starting to falter. Conclusion. The fork in the road. Texas didn't collapse overnight. There was no cataclysm, just quiet erosion. Rent increases ignored. Safety nets weakened. Voices unheard. But it's not too late. If this story stirred something in you, sadness, frustration, uncertainty, that's already a beginning. Because change starts with awareness. With asking the hard questions. Will Texas remain a symbol of opportunity, or become a place people speak of in the past tense? That answer isn't written yet. But it will be, by how we respond. Call to action. What do you think of the crisis unfolding in Texas? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your perspective. If this video resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe to support the channel and help spread stories that matter. This documentary is based on verified reports, public data, and real experiences. We are not affiliated with any political group or agency. Our goal is simple: to spark honest conversation and foster understanding. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next video.